Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss on a topic which is known as molecular cloning, or basically the techniques that are involved in molecular cloning. How is it done? What is the actual process of molecular cloning? As you all can see here in the diagram, okay, in this image, sorry, not a diagram, that's an image. So you can see a DNA like structure here, and which shows that it is transferred from one person to another person. So basically molecular cloning is nothing but creating an identical or exact genetic copy of an individual. By an individual I mean to say that it can be a plant, a cell, or anything. Okay, now as you all can see here in this image, I have just created an overview of molecular cloning methods, or basically what comes to my mind when I speak of molecular cloning. Okay, so molecular cloning methods make use of cloning vectors, DNA library, restriction enzymes. Now different techniques like PCR, sequencing, footprinting, probes, restriction mapping, etc, etc. There are n number of things that will be required for basically cloning. Okay, so you all might be well aware of certain terms like PCR or DNA library, cloning vectors, restriction enzymes. As we all know that restriction enzymes are also known as molecular scissors. So there are basically three types of restriction enzymes which are used here in for the process of cloning. Then there are vectors. What are these vectors? These vectors or cloning vectors, if I say here, they are basically needed to carry that gene which we want to make multiple copies of. So examples of cloning vectors are plasmids, BAC, YAC. Then coming to DNA library. Now what is a DNA library? Basically it has a collection of all the genes. Okay, I mean whatever genes you have cloned in one particular organism, you're going to store it. So it basically, again, it is of three types: genomic library, cDNA library. Okay, then sequencing. What is the actual sequence of the DNA, right? You need to know the sequence. Why do we need to know the sequence? Because when we are talking of cloning, we have to insert it in a particular portion, right? We insert it in a vector so that it carries that gene of interest into the host cell. Okay, then there are we are going to use probes, then footprinting, then technique like PCR. So there are different types of PCRs, but here I've just mentioned about reverse transcriptase, quantitative, and real time PCR. So coming to what is actually cloning. Now cloning in simple language is nothing but a process by which a genetically identical copy of an organism or cell is made. Okay, cloning means what? In simple language, we make a lot of copies. Now those copies need to be identical, and here they have to be genetically identical. Okay, so, Herbert J. Weber in the year 1903 coined the term clone, which was taken from a Greek word clone, which stands with KLON. Okay. Now, DNA cloning is a molecular biology technique that makes identical copies of a chunk of a DNA or a gene. Okay. Now, this DNA cloning can be done in two ways. So what are these two methods or two ways? One is, as you all can see here, one is in vitro or PCR based. Now in vitro means we all know that it is conducted in a lab, or a technique that basically uses PCR. It is also known as cell-free gene cloning method or molecular cloning using PCR. And the second one is in vivo. We also know that in vivo means inside the cell. Okay, the name itself suggests. See, whenever we are studying basically in biology, or when you are studying science, if you see the name, it itself explains what it is all about, or you need to break the words to understand the meaning. In vivo, in cell. that is cell based gene cloning method. Now here we require a host as compared to the in vitro or the PCR based technique, which is also known as a cell free gene cloning method. We do not require any host cell. It is just done using appendix or whatever material is required for it. But now we are going to discuss in detail about the in vivo or the cell based gene cloning. Now this gene cloning basically will make use of host cells. Now that host cell can be a prokaryotic cell or it can be an eukaryotic cell. Okay. Now before going to that, I would like to tell you that, see, cloning, when we are talking about cloning, okay, now whatever we are doing, all of this is basically artificial cloning. So I have a question for you all. Can you all tell me that does cloning happen naturally? Okay, does cloning happen naturally? The answer to it is yes. Now, in nature, okay, there are certain plants or for that matter, say certain bacteria which reproduce by asexual reproduction. They actually make an identical copy of themselves. So what is that? That is natural cloning. Take example of identical twins. Okay, identical twins are formed when the egg, a zygote that is formed is exactly divided into two parts and two individuals are formed. Now these two individuals are almost, they are genetically same. Okay, so what are they? They are nothing but clones. But these techniques, that is in vitro or in vivo, when we are talking about these methods of cloning, they are nothing but artificial cloning methods. Now, artificial cloning is again of three types: gene cloning or DNA cloning, about which we are going to discuss here. Then the next one is reproductive cloning. Now, in reproductive cloning, what is done is it produces a whole animal, exact animal is produced, copies of exact whole animal. And in therapeutic cloning, basically stem cells are made which are used in creating clones of a particular tissue, which would be used to replace a injured or diseased cell. Okay, now moving on to the next part, that is vectors. What are vectors? Okay, vector is nothing but a DNA molecule that acts as a vehicle for carrying the your foreign DNA into the host cell. See, what we do actually in cloning is we need a foreign DNA. Okay, suppose it has a desired quality, we insert it into the host cell and produce n number of copies of that foreign DNA. So, to carry that foreign DNA into the host cell, we require a transporting vehicle, or we need some kind of mode through which it should enter the host cell. And what is that mode, or what are those transporting vehicles? They are nothing but they are known as vectors. Now again, these vectors are of two types: cloning vectors and expression vectors. Now cloning vectors are basically which are used for carrying DNA. That's it, that is their role. They will just carry the DNA into the host cell and then there it would be multiplied. Okay, and expression vectors, these are engineered basically. Okay, for that matter of sake, both the vectors, now as we study vectors in detail, you will get to know that there are certain cloning vectors which are made, which are customized or tailor made as per our needs. But expression vector, as the name suggests, these vectors are used for checking the expression of the protein when it enters the host cell, whether it is whether it actually it is expressed there or not, the protein, your desired protein, whether it is present or not. To check it, we make the use of expression vectors. Okay, now, here for your understanding, I have given features of cloning vector and expression vector. As I told you, by definition, a cloning vector is nothing but a small piece of DNA which acts as a vehicle for carrying that foreign DNA into the host cell. Now, it can be stably maintained within the host cell. Now, this cloning vector, it should be able to survive, or it should be stable in the host cell. Once it enters the host cell, it shouldn't disturb the functions of the host cell. Okay, now expression vector is a plasmid that not only introduces a gene of interest into the host organism but also aids in analysis of the gene of interest via relevant protein product expression. As I told you, cloning vector, what is the role? It will only carry the foreign DNA, but expression vector, along with carrying the gene of interest, it will also uh, help you in identifying the protein product. It will form the product and it will show that whether that protein is properly expressed there or that gene is properly expressed there or not. Now, what is the role of cloning vector? It is used to obtain multiple copies of foreign gene of interest, and expression vector is used to obtain or analyze the gene product, which may be RNA or protein of the inserted gene of interest. As I told you, it will basically deal with the uh, it will tell you whether the protein product is formed or not. Okay, now cloning vectors, there can be plasmids, cosmids, phages, bags, yaks, or max. Now bags basically stand for bacterial artificial chromosome, yaks stands for yeast artificial chromosomes. Okay, and max, I yeah, and then going on to expression vector. Now expression vector, only a plasmid can be used as an expression vector. Now features, coming to the features of a cloning vector, so that we will see in the next slide. Okay, so in general, what properties should a cloning vector have? It should have the ability to replicate in the host cell. It should be able to replicate in the host cell, and it should have a genetic marker to select for host cells containing the vector. Otherwise, how are you going to identify your vector, right? It should have unique restriction enzyme sites for insertional cloning, or for that matter, basically nothing but the multiple cloning site. Now what happens in a multiple cloning site is nothing but a polylinker region which has multiple restriction enzyme cut sites, so that you can make use of different restriction enzymes cut there, and you can insert your gene of interest. Now this vector should have minimum amount of non-essential sequences, because what happens is we remove a particular part and we insert our gene of interest. So as we study further, we'll get to know that each and every vector has got some carrying capacity. You cannot insert a gene of you cannot insert a gene after a certain length. Again, now these vectors must be small in size. Now, introduction of this donor DNA fragment must not interfere with replication property of the vector. Okay, thank you.